Well, hi there everyone, it's Reverend Martin here, and it's lovely to be with you in your classroom today. It seems absolutely ages since I did my last collective worship or assembly for you. I think it was back before Easter when we were looking at the Easter story together, so I hope you've had a really good Easter holiday, and then as you've come back to school this term, you've really settled in with your friends, enjoying seeing them, and that you're enjoying learning together in your classroom with your teachers and teaching assistants. I know that Andy started you off on our new series, one that we're doing for the next few weeks. It's a story called The Mirror and the Mountain. The Mirror and the Mountain. And it's a really creative way that someone's put together of opening up one of the books of the Bible, the book of James. And our particular theme today is Tame It. Tame It. And you'll see why we've got that title in a moment. Before we begin though, I'm just going to light our collective worship candle that just reminds us that as we gather together, you in your classrooms, we can acknowledge God's presence with us and we can welcome his light into our lives. Great, so the first thing we're going to do, it's a little game. It's a little word game. And what you'll need to do for this is quickly just choose two people from your class, or one or two people from your class, and ask them to stand up and turn with their backs to the screen so that everyone else in the class can see the screen, but those two people can't see the words that are going to come up on the screen. Okay, so if I could just give you a few seconds, we're going to do this several times, so different people will get to have a go as we go through, but if you could just quickly choose two people and stand them with their backs to the screen so they can't see what comes up on the screen. Okay? I'm going to give you 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. What I'm now going to do is put these words on the screen. So the rest of the class, you can all see them. You can see there's one big word in the middle, but there's 4 words around the outside. So what I'm going to ask you to do, you might like to do this as a whole class, or maybe your teacher will just pick 2 or 3 people to do this, is you need to describe to the people who can't see the screen this word in the middle, but you're not allowed to use any of the words, any of the 4 words round the edge. Okay, got that? You're going to describe the word in the middle without using any of the 4 words around the edge. If you're in years 3, 4, 5 and 6, I'm sure you can do that. If you're in any of the younger years, teachers, you might like just to say, don't use the 2 words at the top. You'll know much better than I do what will work in your class. Okay, so however you like to do, you're going to describe the word in the middle without using the words around the edge. I'm going to put them up a bit bigger for you. You can pause it, you can play with that, and then we'll come back and I'll introduce the next ones. Okay, here you go. Off you go. Fantastic. So how easy did you find it to describe a rabbit without mentioning a pet, ears, carrot, or hop? Okay. So I've got 4 more of those. You can do them all. You could just do 1 or 2 of them if you like. But I'm going to put them up. You'll need to pause it in between and pick maybe a different 2 people each time and a different way of describing, but all the time you're trying to describe the word in the middle without using the words around the outside. Okay, so choose 2 more people, and I'm just about to put the next one up, and then I'll leave you to pause in between each round, and then when you get to the end, I'll join you when you've had fun playing with it. Here goes. Can you describe one of these without using the words around the outside? Off you go, and then after this one, there's 3 more. Great, I don't know how you got on with that. Did you find some of them easy, some of them quite hard? I personally think this one at the end, that could have been quite difficult, trying to get people to guess the word laugh without saying funny, joke, happy or giggle. Did you find that easy or quite hard? I don't know. But the whole point of this game is that there's words that we're trying to use in the middle, get our friends to guess what they are, but there's also words that in this game we're not using, we're choosing not to use. And today we're going to think about how there are some words which are good to use. We want to use them to communicate with our friends and other people. But some words are not so good to use. And we need to think carefully about what we say. In the book of James, the writer, whose name was, of course, James, had something to say about the words that we say, the way we use our tongues, and the fact that our tongues need taming in order to be careful not to say words which upset or hurt other people, but to choose words which are helpful and kind. And that thought's been put into this next part of our story. It's a great story, isn't it, about 2 children, and in this case, a dragon. So I'm going to leave you to enjoy the next part of our story, Tame It.
Dear Diary, by my mother's beard, since these 2 children, Summer and Jonah, have stumbled into my life, things have certainly become interesting. As I wrote before, I promised to help get them home. Not knowing what else to do, I have taken them high up into the mountains to seek advice from Kaori the dragon. I have to admit I was a little nervous, but I made sure to put a brave face on it for the sake of Summer and Jonah. Things didn't get off to a good start, however. Jonah spoke without thinking, accidentally making Kaori very angry. Summer saved the day, fortunately. Kaori had mentioned being in pain for many, many years, something I'd missed in my nervousness. Summer was very thoughtful and asked the angry dragon what hurt her. The dragon was surprised and touched by the girl's concern. Apparently, no one else has ever thought to ask. It's funny how words can make people upset and angry, and yet other words can calm people down and make them feel good. Anyway, it turns out that Kaori's tongue burns within her mouth. The pain of her burning tongue makes her angry, which in turn makes her tongue even hotter. Sometimes she gets so angry she sets her words on fire. Quite the vicious circle. It's caused her a lot of trouble in the past. Without being able to control her tongue, she accidentally set fire to the king's palace a long time ago. She's been living with the shame ever since, and told us she plans to hide in her cave forever. But it got me thinking, if only Kaori could tame her tongue, she and anyone who visited her would be much happier. Her tongue has shaped her whole life, but if she could control it, she would be able to make amends for the mistakes of the past. I have had a brilliant idea, even if I say so myself, of how I can help. In exchange, Kauri has agreed to help the children find their way home. I have an invention in mind which could solve Kauri's tongue problems. Anyway, mustn't dally. It's going to take a lot of work to build the Tongue Tamer.
I really enjoyed that, and I hope you did too. It's a wonderful little bit of story. Wouldn't it be great if we could make a tongue tamer that just helped us think about the words that we say, that got our tongues under control, so that we only used our mouths and our tongues to say things that were kind and helpful, and to avoid saying things which were hurtful, just like that dragon could breathe fire that was really destructive. Well, sometimes our words can be quite destructive. And that's what James says. If we were to read that from the Bible in James chapter 3, there's actually a section called Taming the Tongue, where he points out that our tongues are a bit like the rudder on a ship. You know, the rudder, a little bit at the back, it's very small, but it can control the direction of the whole ship. And James makes the point that our tongues, although they're really small, can exert a really big influence in the words that we say. Sometimes they're like a little spark, just a small spark can set a great big fire, just as the dragon found out when it was breathing fire. It could burn things and destroy things. Well, words can be really, really hurtful. Perhaps you've heard the phrase. Well, think what the phrase might be. Maybe you've heard it. See what I've just got here. I've got 2 of these and 2 of these. And I wonder if you know a phrase about what? About sticks and stones. Perhaps you've heard it. Sticks and stones. Can anyone complete that sentence? Sticks and stones may break my bones, but what? But words will never hurt me. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. So I want you to think about that for a moment. And in twos or around your table, however you're sat in your classroom, just think, what do you make of this phrase? Perhaps you've heard it before. Do you think it's true or do you think it's untrue? Is it helpful or is it unhelpful? So again, you might just like to pause the video just for a minute or two, and in a 2 on your table or a group around your table, just think, is this phrase, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me? True, untrue, helpful or unhelpful? Pause for a moment and I'll see you in a 2. Well, I wonder what you came up with as you were talking around your table. Personally, I don't think this is at all true. It is true that sticks and stones can break our bones, they can hurt us, but so can words. And sometimes words can be really hurtful if we don't tame our tongue and think carefully about what we say. So here's something else for you to think about. Got lots of things for you to do today. Here's a question for you, and it's this. How does it make you feel when good words are said and when bad words are said? How does it make you feel when good words are said or when bad words are said? Now, you might like to do this on your tables again. You might like to make 2 lists. How do you feel when good words are said? How do you feel when bad words are said? You might like to do it as a whole class. And teaching assistant, you might like to put the words up on a whiteboard at the front and do it all together, or you might like to do it in a small group. But just think for a moment of this question. How does it make you feel when good words are said or when bad words are said? So I wonder what you've got on your list. I'd love to be able to see what you've got on your list. I think if I was writing a list, good words, I'd say things like happy or comforted or encouraged or confident when people say good words to me. Bad words, what would you say? You'd probably say things like sad or upset or discouraged. I'm really sure you've got lots more words on your list, but those are some of the things that I would have come up with. I expect you came up with some of those too. Right. Next thing I said there'll be lots for you to do today, is just to think for a moment. And here's what I want you to think. Just a thought. It's this. Someone's done some research and they found out that this is pretty true, that for every bad thing said to someone, it takes more than 10 good things to forget it. For every bad thing said to someone, it takes more than 10 good things for them to forget it. So you might just think what that means in the way that we choose to use our words. It means that when we say a bad thing to something which is hurtful or discouraging or which makes them sad, they're much more likely to remember it than if we say something which is encouraging, good or helpful. So how important is it that we need to say loads and loads more words that are encouraging, comforting and helpful? And we need to try really hard to stop ourselves, to tame our tongues, so that we don't say things which are upsetting and which make people sad. Because often we remember them, don't we? As so do other people. So let's just think for a moment how important it is, how powerful words are to do good, or how destructive bad or unkind words can be. Right, we're going to turn to pray now. And we're just going to bring that thought to God in prayer. And we're going to ask him to help us think how we might tame our tongue. Think carefully about the words that we use. So again, some words are going to come on the screen. And if you'd like to make these words part of your prayer, you can either say them quietly in your own mind and heart, or if you would like to speak them softly out loud, then you can join me as we pray together. But let's pray. Dear God, sometimes my tongue gets in the way. I find it hard to control what I say. For that reason, this I pray. Please help me watch my words every day. Amen. Great prayer to carry on throughout the rest of the day, that God will help us watch our words very carefully and control our tongues. One of the things that James says is that we can use our tongues for some really good things, and one of them is praising God. So as we come to the end of our assembly, our collective worship, our time together, I hope you found it helpful. I hope you found it made you think about the words that you use and how you can tame your tongue. But we can use our tongues to offer God our praise. And so we're going to end with a final song, which you can just listen to the words, listen to the music, think about as we finish, and then right at the end there's something that you might take away with you. Here's the song. It's called Send Us On. And we're going to join in singing it, or listening at least to it now.
Fill us with love so we can love others. Fill us with joy to light up the world. Fill us with courage so we will be strong. Fill us up and send us on. Fill us up and send us on. Help us to use the gifts that you give us. Help us to give our best every day. Help us show kindness all the day long. Fill us up and send us on. Fill us up and send us on. Fill us up and send us on. Fill us up and send us on.
Great, I like that song. Good song, isn't it? So here's the last thing. Hope you've enjoyed our time together. Hope you get something to think about and to take away, but take away with you. Just as you go into today, just think very carefully about the words that you use. and see if you can make sure that you tame your tongue so that you don't say words which are hurtful or which leave people feeling upset, but you do say words which leave people feeling comforted, encouraged and confident. Okay, lovely being with you, and look forward to the time that I see you again. Bye.